Some voices are simply heard, but Mosie Burks' voice was felt. It wasn't just gospel music when she sang. It was a lifeline for the hurting, a prayer for the faithful, and a source of strength for the broken. Her voice reached places medicine could not, and now that voice is gone. Silenced by time, but not forgotten by hearts. Her passing leaves behind not just an empty stage, but a deep void in the world of gospel music and in the lives of those who found healing through her songs. Mosie Burks' funeral will be held on Wednesday, July 16, 2025, at 11 a.m. at Greater Bethlehem Temple Apostolic Faith Church on Robinson Street in Jackson. But this isn't just a funeral service. It's a farewell to a woman who, through decades of struggle and praise, became one of the most beloved voices in gospel history. Following the funeral, she will be laid to rest at Nolia's Cemetery. With burial arrangements handled by Coffee Funeral Home, this marks the final earthly journey of a woman who spent her life walking with God. Before this final ceremony, a public visitation will take place on Tuesday, July 15th. From 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. at Jackson Memorial Funeral Service on Woodrow Wilson Avenue. The same evening, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., musical tribute will be held at Greater Fairview Baptist Church on Newport Street. Their voices will rise to honor the woman whose own voice once brought thousands to tears. Gospel choirs, soloists, and members of the community will gather not just to perform, but to remember. They'll sing her favorite hymns, share memories, and pay respect to the grandmother of gospel. But who was Mosie Burks truly? To understand the impact of her death, you must first understand the depth of her life. She didn't come from wealth or fame. She wasn't discovered on a TV show or raised in the spotlight. She was born into a poor Mississippi family, one of 13 children, and raised in the heat of the segregated South. Her early life was hard. She worked as a domestic servant, cooked in strangers' homes, scrubbed floors, and carried burdens most people couldn't imagine. And yet, through it all, she sang. Not to be famous, but to survive. She sang while working. She sang while praying. She sang because music was her refuge. When she joined the Mississippi Mass Choir in the 1990s, she was already in her 60s. Most artists think of retirement at that age. She was just getting started. Her breakout solo performance of When I Rose This Morning became an instant gospel classic. Churchgoers didn't just hear it, they memorized it, played it every Sunday, and passed it on to the next generation. Mosie didn't need auto-tune, spotlight tricks, or dramatic effects. She had something far more powerful truth in every note. Her voice was raspy yet rich, powerful yet comforting. And more than anything, it was believable. Because when Mosie sang about God's grace, you knew she had lived it. When she cried out about pain and redemption, you felt the journey behind every lyric. She wasn't just a singer, she was a testimony on 2 feet. In her own words, I didn't grow up dreaming of being on stage. I just sang to make it through the day. And that's exactly what made her so unique. Mosie Burks stood apart from the likes of Mahalia Jackson, Shirley Caesar, and Aretha Franklin. Not because she was more famous, but because she stayed deeply grounded. She never left Mississippi. She didn't chase the industry. Instead, the industry found her in the form of fans who shared her YouTube videos, preachers who invited her to their churches, and choirs that modeled themselves after her soulful delivery. She wasn't looking for stages. She was looking for souls. Churchgoers loved her because she didn't just sing in big auditoriums. She stayed in local churches, visiting small congregations, hugging mothers, mentoring young girls, and praying with anyone who asked. To many, she was simply Mother Mosie, a voice of comfort, a pillar of the community. The kind of woman who brought a sweet potato pie to choir rehearsals and then led a solo that moved everyone to tears. During the COVID-19 pandemic, hospitals in Jackson played her songs for patients fighting for their lives, nurses recalled. How, on difficult nights, it was her voice that gave them peace. One nurse said, "We didn't know if a patient would make it, so we played Mosie Burks. That's what kept us going." Her music was a medicine that calmed the mind and lifted the spirit. It wasn't entertainment, it was healing. Fellow artists respected her deeply. Kirk Franklin once said, "If I could bottle Mosie's spirit, I'd give it to every choir in America." Leandria Johnson described her as the fire that never burned out. And gospel fans around the world, from South Africa to London to New York, recognized that in Mosie's voice lived a rare combination of pain, wisdom, and unshakable faith. Even secular artists admired her. India Arie once mentioned that Mosie's tone reminded her of what truth feels like in song. That kind of praise didn't come from marketing campaigns. It came from connection. A connection Mosie had with everyone who ever heard her. Outside the stage, Mosie lived a quiet, humble life. She raised her children, cooked for church events, counseled young women, and lived without arrogance or ego. She never claimed to be a star. She called herself a servant, a vessel. "The stage isn't mine," she once said. "It belongs to God. I'm just borrowing it for a while." And what a loan it was. Through that borrowed stage, she touched thousands. Her recordings reached homes where people were dealing with grief, depression, illness, or loneliness. Her voice was like a warm blanket, always familiar, always needed. Her funeral service will be filled with pastors, singers, neighbors, and friends, but the real tribute will be in the stories shared. The mother who played Mosie's album after losing her job. The father who found peace in her song after burying his child. The young girl who watched her videos and learned how to sing with conviction. These are the people who carry Mosie's legacy forward, not in gold statues, but in changed lives. And now, with her passing, the question remains, what does it really mean to live a life that matters? Not a life full of applause, not a life full of luxury, but a life that leaves something behind, a mark on the soul of the world. That's what Mosie did. She didn't just live, she served. She didn't just sing, she healed. Just inspire, she uplifted. So now that her voice is quiet, we have to ask ourselves, who will take her place? Not just behind the microphone, but in the hearts of those who need hope. Will we step up? Will we use our own voices to speak? Kindness, love, and truth? Or will we stay silent, hoping someone else will do it? Because Mosie Burks gave everything she had until the very end. She didn't leave behind wealth or luxury. She left behind love. Real, lasting, unforgettable love. And that's a legacy worth singing about.